In this video, we are going to discuss about the most common and neglected problem, that is depression. Today's book is narrated by Kushal Chaudhary. So, over to Kushal.
In this video, we are going to discuss the summary of the book Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy by David D. Byrne. Dr. David D. Byrne has found in his late research on cognitive therapy that depression can be cured naturally without taking any antidepressant drugs. We are going to go through the process of doing so, but first, keep in mind that you are not the only person who is suffering from depression. Taking into consideration that others have gone through the same painful experience can bring about relief and sense of unity. Also, if you are someone who's positive and you think that depression is not for you anymore, you should reconsider the thought again. So let's get started. How depression occurs? In United States, 5.3% of the population will at any given time have depression, and the lifetime risk is 7 to 8% in adults and higher for women. 40 years ago, the mean age for onset of depression was 29.5. Today, it has halted to 14.5 years. And though rates differ around the developed world, the incidence of depressive illness has risen dramatically since 1900. Prior to 1980s, David Byrne writes, depression had been the cancer of the psychological world, widespread but difficult to treat, and the taboo associated with it made the problem worse for most of people. As with cancer, finding a cure had been holy grail. Everything from prudent psychologists to shock treatment was applied to the problem with not very good results. Dr. Byrne describes how depression occurs. First, we have the event that takes place in the outside world. Second, we interpret that event with a series of thoughts. This is called your internal dialogue. Third, your feelings are created by your thoughts and not the actual event. In other words, the way you think in any situation will determine how you will feel about it. Seeing through black magic. In the history of psychiatry, Byrne notes depression has always been seen as an emotional disorder. As a result, most therapy has been about getting in touch with your feelings. Most therapists have believed that maturity means opening up and expressing what's inside, an assumption based on the view that one's feelings represent a higher reality, a personal integrity, a truth beyond question. But do they? Cognitive therapy's definition idea is that depression is not an emotional disorder at all. The bad feelings we have in a depression all stem from negative thoughts. Therefore, the treatment must be about challenging and changing those thoughts. Byrne includes a list of 10 cognitive distortions, such as all or nothing thinking, overgeneralization, disqualifying the positive, jumping to conclusion, and giving ourselves labels. By understanding this distortion, we are led to the awareness that feelings are not facts. They are the only mirrors of our thoughts. Cognitive distortion. Now that you got the rule, let's look at the equation. When you interpret an event as a negative, Dr. Byrne describes that as cognitive distortion. If you perceive an event as a negative, you create distorted thoughts and therefore unpleasant emotions. Sometimes you could be right. The event is unpleasant and needs to be interpreted that way. We have to be realistic about it, but for people who suffer from mild level of depression, those cognitive distortions become so habituated to a certain degree that they start perceiving everything in black and white. Dr. Byrne cited 10 different cognitive distortions that you tend to have when you are depressed. Let's look at some examples for the most common ones. All or nothing thinking. Let's say that you want to learn stand-up comedy. You took some classes and after a month you decided to give it a shot and go live. So you go on the stage and started cracking the lamest joke. because you were nervous and it was your first time. The audience got bored and left. As a result, you thought to yourself that you had no chance of becoming a good comedian, or that you could never be going to be the good at doing anything. This kind of cognitive distortion is called all or nothing thinking. Either I'm good at this or I will never be. This type of cognitive distortion is conveying an exaggeration of a negative event. The event itself is a negative, but instead of perceiving it as a passing experience, you hold on the cons. All or nothing thinking, you see things in a black and white categories. If a performance falls short of perfect, you see yourself as a total failure. Mental filtering. This leads us to the second cognitive distortion, which is called mental filtering. You take one negative thing in any situation and keep dwelling on it. Take this book summary as an example. No matter how much I put the time to make valuable content, there will be that one guy or girl who will filter all the value and leave a negative comment about wrong punctuation in a paragraph. Instead of saying, okay, let's evaluate this objectively. What did I learn from the summary? I learned about something called cognitive therapy. I can cure my depression without taking any antidepressant drugs. People who perceive reality from mental filter, no matter how hard you try to convince them that the event is actually positive, will always find something negative about it. Mental filter. You pick out a single negative detail and dwell on exclusively so that your vision of all your reality becomes darkened, like the drop of ink that colors the entire beaker of water. Jumping to conclusion. Imagine that you got hit by a car. You're on your way to the hospital, and no matter how much the doctor kept telling you that you didn't get a scratch, you just got dizzy, and you're ready to go home in 3 hours. You keep thinking to yourself, oh my god, what if I got brain damage? And if my brain is damaged, will my girlfriend still want to go out with me? This one is called jumping to conclusion. This is like exaggerating with your expectations and projecting to unrealistic conclusions. Since the process of emotion formation happens in a fraction of a second, we have little to no control over it. The good news is, however, even these thoughts get distorted and you fall into depression, you still have a chance to reconstruct them after their occurrence. You have the opportunity to reframe those distorted thoughts and therefore change your mood. It is scary how one thought can have the power to change someone's life for the better or the worst. Jumping to conclusion, you make a negative interpretation even though there are no definite facts that convincingly support your conclusion. A mind reading. You arbitrarily conclude that someone is reacting negatively to you and you don't bother to check this out. B. Fortune teller error. You anticipate that things will turn out badly and you feel convinced that your prediction is an already established fact. Magnification and minimization. When you magnify, you look at your errors, fears, or imperfection and exaggerate their importance. This has also been called catastrophizing because you turn commonplace negative events into nightmarish monsters. When you minimize, you inappropriately shrink things until they appear tiny such as your own desirable qualities or others' imperfections. This is also called the binocular trick. Magnification and minimization. You exaggerate the importance of things such as you goof up or someone else's achievements, or you inappropriately shrink things until they appear tiny. Fifth, emotional reasoning. You take emotions as evidence for the truth. Your logic. I feel like a loser, therefore I'm a loser. This kind of reasoning is misleading because your feeling reflects your thoughts and beliefs. Emotional reasoning. You assume that your negative emotion necessarily reflects the way things really are. I feel it, therefore it must be true. Sixth, labeling and mislabeling. Labeling refers to your tendency to create completely negative self-image based on your errors. Mislabeling refers to your tendency to describe an event with words that are inaccurate and emotionally heavy loaded. Labeling and mislabeling. This is an extreme form of overgeneralization. Instead of describing your error, you attach a negative label to yourself. I am a loser. When someone else's behavior rubs you the wrong way, you attach the negative label to him. He's goddamn loose. Mislabeling involves describing an event with a language that is highly colored and emotionally loaded. Labeling yourself is not self-defeating, it is rational. Yourself cannot be equated with any one thing you do. Your life is complex and ever-changing flow of thoughts, emotions, and actions. To put it another way, you are more like a river than a statue. Stop trying to define yourself with negative labels. 7. Overgeneralization. You arbitrarily conclude that one thing that happened to you once will occur over and over again. The pain of rejection is generated almost entirely from overgeneralization. Overgeneralization. You see a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat. 8. Disqualifying the positive. You transform neutral or even positive experience into negative ones. Burns calls this reverse alchemy. Disqualifying the positive is one of the most destructive form of cognitive distortion. Disqualifying the positive, you reject positive experience by inciting they don't count for some reason or another. In this way, you can maintain a negative belief that is contradicted by your everyday experience. Distortion number 9. Should statements. You try to motivate yourself by saying, I should do this or I must do that. Should statement. You try to motivate yourself with shoulds and shouldn'ts as if you had to be whipped and punished before you could be expected to do anything. Must and oughts are also offenders. The emotional consequences is guilt. When you direct should statements towards others, you feel anger, frustration, and resentment. Distortion number 10. Personalization. You assume responsibility for negative event when there is no basis for doing so. Personalization. You see yourself as the main cause of some negative external event, which in fact you were not primarily responsible for. Practical strategies. David Byrne presents us with some practical strategies for dealing with these cognitive distortions. The first step is to start being mindful enough to catch those automatic negative thoughts and write them down. Don't let them buzz around in your head. Second step is to learn precisely how you are twisting things and blowing them out of proportion. The third step is to substitute a more objective thought that counters the one which made you look down on yourself. If you hear a thought telling you that you are not good at doing anything, catch the negative thought and write it down. Now write a logical, more realistic counter thought to it. Try to find out all the logical reasons that convey clearly that you are good at something. No matter what the thought says, you can read what you wrote every morning before you go about your day, and with time, the subconscious will rewrite itself. So instead of weighing you down, your thoughts will start boosting your mood naturally. This is the basic gist of cognitive behavioral therapy. Much everyday anger results when we confuse our own personal wants with general moral codes. Conclusion. First, your emotions are created by your thoughts and not the actual event. Second, cognitive distortions. We reviewed the most common distortion that you tend to fall into when you are depressed. Third, we look at the practical side of the book, which is to fix those distortions by writing them and replacing them with more realistic logical thoughts. Over time, your brain will rewrite itself for the better. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share and subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates.